So, hi, Christopher. Welcome
Hi,
to the
Michael.
show. Just to everyone know that this is the
Okay.
mixesalmostperfect.com, and I'm with Christopher Massura, my brother. He is an awesome musician. He's actually in a band called Blue Carpet Authority. Omit the E. So you can go to his Facebook at bluecarpetauthority.com. Just make sure you omit the E from the blue. So, Christopher, we were going to
Hi,
talk
Michael.
about. Hi.
Hi.
So tell a couple things about yourself.
Well, I'm a musician. I play guitar. I sing. I write songs with my band, Blue Carpet Authority. We've been together since 2012. Um, yeah, I've been playing music since I was about 9 or 10. I started with trombone in the concert band, and then went through high school and played jazz band, marching band, etc. But really found my place with live music and rock bands. So
Yeah, I mean,
that
you've been doing a lot of projects. You've been doing side projects. I mean, Blue
I
Carpet
have.
Authority kind of, I would call it like it was a side project that came into something bigger. I would
It
think, right?
was, and then I end up kind of poaching the drummer from that band, and then my best
Okay.
friend Brian, who plays bass in it, known forever, as well as Jason, my one friend from the other band that I was in Valley Fever before. He just sometimes pops in and out, and I think he's going to be a recording factor for the coming new recordings. So
Well, and as you know, as you guys developed and learned, you guys used to do a lot of raw. You like raw sound. I know you like garage band sound, and I know through your development, I've noticed you've done a little more production value, and it's definitely made your music like really sellable in, I think, the recording, like the broadcasting end. I honestly think like you could get picked up on the radio. I mean, didn't one of your songs? What song got on the radio? Did you say one of your songs got on the radio?
well, it was mostly the college radio.
Well,
Uh,
college
I
radio. It
think
starts there.
yeah, it was Persevere. It was the one with all the harmonies and all the stuff that you thought was what we called the bubblegum song when we were recording it, because it was a bubblegum song. Still really good, still raw as it can be. Literally
But but
only
but
five
isn't it
tracks to record
but
it.
isn't it right? Like just doing those little things to polish
Hmm.
just takes it to another level that you wouldn't necessarily do in a three-piece, because you guys have a three-piece band. You can
Yeah,
do other things, which is great.
I think our real approach was trying to do everything live, which is why we got a lot of compliments when people heard our recordings and then they heard us live. They thought we sounded so big, is because we didn't fluff up our recordings so much, which is
You and you don't have to.
we don't have to, right? So I think that we still have to stay grounded, which we kind of we're keeping that same mentality, but the guy we recorded with, he knew tricks to make us sound a little bit bigger and it sounded a little more polished while retaining that ground level of keeping that three-piece sound, which worked. So
Yeah, I know your guys' engineer. He's very good. He's a very good engineer. He definitely knows what he's doing for sure. So I know we were going to talk about this. So Christopher, in the
my,
live, when you're doing a show,
mhm.
um, what are some things that when you come into a venue that you've noticed issues with? That so like as you're a guitar player and you're a vocalist, you come into the show. A lot of the times you go into a show that maybe is not just your show, it's a couple other bands. What are some problems that you face as a musician when you have to work with the engineer?
Well, it's usually the fact that the engineer tends to do a lot of those pop like cover bands, and I feel like they're so in tune with doing that, they don't really know how to work with us. They don't know how to mix us. Which I've talked to other people in other genres outside of from our alternative rock sound, like metal and stuff, and they still have the same issue too. It seems like they just want to kick up, you know, certain levels that don't need to be kicked up so much, such
Sure.
as vocals don't need to be like 50 decimals over everything else, because that's not, it's not about just the vocals, it's about the band, because we're not there to, I'm not the only person in the band.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not the sole person. Everybody's in the band. So having that right balance has always been a struggle, I guess, of ours.
Yeah, I mean and I feel that's a struggle with our industry, being production engineer, to
Mm-hmm.
walk into a show or to do a show, or even let's say they're doing the engineer comes in, he has no idea about the space. Like sometimes these spaces, they get an engineer and all of a sudden he doesn't even know the space. And sometimes you need a couple shows, or you need a house guy that says, well, you want to make sure you back off on this, but a good engineer should have an idea. The problem is sometimes there's those little, call them the little things, like there was a venue I did out in Joliet, and they had an issue with two of the inputs or something, where they had a route in to route out, and then everything was plugged into a snake, and then the snake, two of the channels are burned out, so they had to run those two channels back to the board and then run that back into a third snake that runs to the drummer. And I feel like sometimes if an engineer isn't prepared in that perspective, you would never know. You would literally never know. But what you're saying, yeah, no, I completely understand. Now, a thing that may help a lot as as an engineer, and I think I mentioned this to you, it's called a stage writer. Now, I know, like, you guys, I know what I was in Valley Fever with you guys at one point. Like, you guys thought I was a nerd or something. Like, oh, you're gonna upset the engineer. No, listen, a stage writer, and if anybody doesn't know what it is, musicians or engineers,
I'm familiar.
a stage writer is essentially, and this is for the viewers too, but a stage writer is essentially a piece of paper, an email that states, that has written down, or picture. It shows, let's say, the placement on where your instruments are. This is how we like to be set up. The vocalist isn't on the center. It's on the right side. Sometimes normally the vocalist is always in the center. So, oh no, but you're a three-piece. So one person likes to be on the right. One person likes to be on the left. So it's pretty much an instruction manual on how to mix your band. And other things. So like you were saying, oh, they mix me like, they mix us like, like a different style of music. Well, if you can get an opportunity, to send the stage writer to the engineer ahead of time. So if you, let's say, you talk to the person that's putting the show on, and you say, hey, listen, I have a stage writer. I'd like to send it to you. Could you send it to the engineer? Sometimes that is a good way. And I know, I understand some of the promoters, but it is one of those things where if you, or at least the first show, after the first show, hey, is this, get his email or her email, or, a phone number, say, hey, listen, I would love next time when we do a show, could I send you my stage writer? And then, you could be prepared for what we do. That is just, first off, it shows your professionalism, but don't do it in a way where I would say, oh, this guy's a snob. Like, I guess some engineers say, oh, this guy, he's a snob, but I know you're not like that. It's just,
especially for local shows.
yeah, local shows. But
I could just imagine the faces I get from those promoters, like, excuse me, or like for our last show, they told us that the bass has to be on the stage right side or left side.
Well, and you know what? And that's fine.
So
but what it is, and I understand, because when you're doing shows that are like click, click, click going through, and you have like 20 bands, whatever, I get that. But to have the stage writer to say, hey, listen, this is our ideal situation. This is what we would like. But you can put, if not, you do what you need to do. But this is how we normally have our band set up. Normally, Christopher Massura, he's the lead guitar player and the lead vocalist. He's usually on the left, but state if it's stage left or audience left. That's important, because as you know, if someone says stage left, you're on stage, it's your left. And if people don't know that's listening, I'll give you a quick little theater thing. Stage left is when the musician is on stage. That's your left. Audience left is literally stage right for the musician. So you have to sometimes tell them, oh, stage right is this, stage left is this, you know. However you want to do it, just make sure the engineer has information. I know, but like to make you more professional, or to show the engineer that you have the skills to be able to talk to them. I feel like engineers sometimes think, and I know, you know, the guys, you're listening in, and I know that you're probably thinking, oh, don't tell the secret. But like some engineers are like, the musicians have no idea what's going on. Christopher, I know you know what a good sound is. And I know sometimes like there are times where, you know, I'll give you a suggestion and other people give suggestions. But I know more recently it looks like you take people's advice. And I think when you were younger, it was harder for you to do that. And I know now, and this is not a bad thing, but I know now that you take people's advice a little better, and it showed in your musicianship. It shows in your sound. That, guys, I'll make sure there's a link, you know, put on here, but you need to check out Christopher's new EP, right?
Right. Yeah.
What it was. Yeah. The new EP, share it. It's absolutely awesome. I'll make sure I put it like right here, you know, right up top, right here. And then also I'll make sure it gets into my blog, so you'll have an actual spot. But do you have any? Yeah, let me hear.
No, I don't know if you remember this. It was I didn't notice this until I think you were watching us, and there wasn't many people at this show, but our sound was in stereo live.
It was
fine, but the issue with that, because everything was being carried through the PA system, is the entire audience was on the side of the bass, so all they heard was drum and bass. Do you remember that?
So yeah, so that venue. So guys, if you are doing live sound and you're in a small, and the bar was actually pretty big. The problem is you get people that want to come up to the stage. They want to be in the mosh pit area, if you would, you know, say, kind of area. The problem is if the speakers are up high, I mean, I went up there, but you know me, I don't like to be right up front. I like to hear the mix. So I literally go back like 60 feet because that's the hot spot. When you get so close to the stage, you're actually behind the speakers, essentially. So everything's muddy. So
depending if the PA system's carrying everything, but yeah.
So things that can help at an engineering perspective, you could set up, and this is where you can get some feedback issues, you could set up center fills or above center fill speakers, where it's a zoning thing where you could set where people are in that hot spot, you can set the volume a little hotter or lower. And to be honest with you, a lot of the times you need more vocals in that area because you can hear anything. It's all muddy.
Well, because the frequencies are, I think, especially with my vocals, cut in with the same as cymbals. The cymbal frequency.
Yeah.
So a lot of times if there's a lot of cymbals, my voice will get mudded up with those.
Well, and then that's part of the engineer's job is, honestly, and I know you disagree with me a little bit about this, but regardless, if you have your message, you write the music, right? You write the music in your band, correct?
Sure. Yeah.
For the most part. Yeah. You write all the lyrics.
Yeah.
The problem is people still want to hear the vocals. And I'm telling you, your last album, I'm telling you guys, go to check out Christopher's album. You can hear the vocals so much better, and people can understand the actual idea of the song. Like, I think where your vocals are, they're perfect. And when you are back, on stage, and let's say you have monitors coming at you, it sounds a lot better. Like when I was at the hot spot, the sweet spot in that bar, you could hear everything. Now, there was some times when I couldn't hear you enough, and I actually thought the vocals should have been a lot louder. The vocals should have been a little bit louder. You didn't hear what it was outside. Out in the audience, the vocals could have been louder. I know you're like, oh, I don't want the vocals. The vocals absolutely can be louder, for sure. Because in those bars, it doesn't matter. Naturally, I feel like, especially rookie engineers, it's one of the hardest things to do. You start putting in this, this, and that, and all of a sudden, you can't get the vocals up because it's going to give feedback. Start off when you are mixing. Take everything at a little lower level and work your way up. Make sure the vocals are heard, then mix around the vocals. especially the lead, that will set you at a proper, balance. Well, the vocals are here and we can hear the vocals. If anything's louder, we can't, because it's going to be too loud and it won't be comfortable for anybody, especially in a live band. Like if you're in a bar, it's different. You have to keep things a little lower. Now in a metal bar, metal bars, they like it super loud. But if you're in a location, and I know, and you've been in locations where it's like almost all metal, and then all of a sudden they do your band, and they just don't know how to mix it, like you said.
Exactly.
Honestly, half the time I think the engineers, half the time I think all the engineers, they don't have hearing. They're completely shot. Their hearing's shot. That's why if you're an engineer, everyone, or a musician, make sure you protect your ears and get, if you have to, buy the cheap earplugs. Let's see what you got.
Heroes. They're like
you like those?
$15. Yeah, and they're fantastic. They don't cut out too much bass. They pretty much keep a pretty balanced sound for the most part, and they're cheap.
If you have the budget to spend, you can go with a little, and I'll put the link on there too. There is, if you go to your audiologist, because everyone should have an audiologist. It's also, a lot of times the audiologist also is part of a conglomerate with nose and throat doctor. So usually they're all a lot of times you see a bunch of them and they're all sharing an office. They're kind of like semi-specialist doctors, but they're also doctors you should really go see an audiologist every year or every other year, kind of thing. But no one does.
Let me check my my health insurance plan. Oh wait.
Usually, normally it's classified under specialty doctor. So if you're paying $30 for your premium and $60 for your non. But so normally, if you go, like I went to get in-ear, you can get it with in-ear. So if you ever do like monitors, like in-ear monitors, they have molded ones too, but you have to go to your audiologist to get it done. Your actual like earplugs or those in-ears, they have molded in-ears. So what they do is they pour essentially a mold into your ear, and then they let it harden. They pull it out. They do the other one, and essentially, then you put the attenuator in, which is the amount of volume allows. It's almost like a mixing board. I want negative 30 decibels. Oh, I want negative 5 decibels, and you can pick the one you want. And then I believe it's like for the appointment and the two visits and the ears, it costs, I think it's like $310 altogether. And I know, like for earplugs, well, they're molded to your ears. So how do you say no to that? But
right.
Whatever. And
stuff.
It sounds amazing. Like it doesn't mute anything. It literally just takes the volume down, but anywho.
Well, maybe with the stimulus package, I'll look into buying them.
Yeah, one day when everyone gets back to work, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So, yeah. But anyway, Christopher, it's been really, really nice talking to you. Hey, listen, guys, please go to themixisalmostperfect.com. Christopher, we're going to have you back on. I know there's some other things I'd love to talk to you about. I'd love to get the whole band on. That would be awesome. I'm sure everyone would love to, listen and talk to you guys. Maybe we can do 3 Zoom calls, We'll do all 3 Zoom calls together.
It's social distancing. Yeah.
Social distancing, yes. So, or maybe I'll, when everything's hopefully gets back to normal, I'll invite you into the studio. That would be pretty cool.
That'd be amazing.
Yeah. So, but yeah, come to everyone, themixisalmostperfect.com. You can email me at michaelmassura@gmail.com, or you can call in. My schedule changes for the call-ins, but it's 219-221-8710. And yeah, I mean, for the most part, thank you again. And then Christopher, thank you again for coming on. And that's a beautiful kitty. What's his name?
This is Garth.
Hi, Garth.
He's a good kid.
Well, hello, Garth. But yeah, so thank you again, and we will see you soon.
All right.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.